Hey guys, welcome back. If you missed the first episode in this series, I'll have it linked at the top of this video right here, and you can click on that. In that video, we go in depth on how to get started on this game. We talk about character stats, mostly character stats, some mods that I use, as well as kind of how to pick a map and where you want to settle and why. In this video, we are going to kind of get set up and get started. We're going to talk about shelter, how I do shelter at the beginning before we start building, food, and storage. As you see, the very first thing that we're going to do is assign our hearthlings their jobs. So you start out with a carpenter, and we also chose to start out with a farmer. After I assign jobs, which I really do that so that way as soon as I'm ready to start crafting things, they're already assigned their jobs, but they don't have any jobs to do right now, so they're just going to be workers like everyone else. After that, I want to cut down the trees in the area that we're in, just get some flat space going where we can get some crap organized, get storages going. Right here, I'm just kind of looking around for some more metal. Next, we have our official settlement declaration. You can see that there are 3 different choices. The banner of vitality, you get more wood, our crops and plants grow faster, and plants have 2 times their normal appeal. That one to me is not very beneficial. It could be nice that your farms grow faster, but once you get farms going, it's not really, to me, beneficial in comparison to the other 2 that you can choose. There's also Banner of Strength and Banner of Cunning. Used to, when I would play this game, I would always do Banner of Cunning just because the roads give 3 times their normal speed boost. I think that's super beneficial, but in this game, and the most recent game that I did, where I got pretty far along, I ended up not even building roads until, well, I hadn't built roads yet because I wanted to build my town exactly the way I wanted to. And once you build roads, as far as I can tell, there's no way of going back. And so I don't want to do that till later anyway. And I don't really buy stuff, so I don't buy a lot of stuff or sell a lot of stuff, and so the money doesn't help a whole lot. And then the other one, Banner of Strength, it just kind of was like process of elimination that I chose that one. Mining, it would be nice to get more ore, stone, and clay, so that's beneficial. And then Hearthlings no longer mine cramped spaces. You have to make sure that you keep your town's happiness up, and one of the reasons why they'll get upset in the beginning whenever you don't have a lot of buildings is they have a cramped space. They're in a cramped space. So I think that one's the most beneficial. And then you also name your settlement. After I have a few resources, the next thing that I like to do is go into my crafting all of my crafting menus, which in this case is just the carpenter, and set up a few things for them to craft, even if they can't build it yet, things that I want. So you saw the first 2 things that I put down or made as their workbench. The first workbench doesn't cost, you don't have to have any requirements to make it, and then once that one's put down, I'll be able to make the second one, and then once the second one's put down, I can make all the rest of the stuff that I need to make. So I start off making a practice sword, so that way I can immediately make an artillery person. I have them craft 5 firewoods, and I usually keep, I did 5 here, but I think I'll change it later to 3. I usually try to keep 3 firewoods in rotation, so that way anytime, even if my carpenter's super busy, anytime there is firewood available for the hearth ring. And then I like to make 5 beds, because if not, your hearthlings will be upset that they have to sleep on the ground. And then just because I like to, I'll make 5 animal beds as well. It just gives my carpenter a little bit more experience and helps him to go ahead and get to level 2. You probably saw that I clicked on the storage box for just a second. Those storage box that I clicked on only holds 16, and I don't want to make any until I can make the 32, because my carpenter will level up pretty quick, and so it's kind of silly to waste the time and space making and the resources to make the small ones when in just a few minutes I'll be able to make the big ones. Thankfully, with this game, it does a pretty good job of giving you directions on every screen. So you can see here, after you click on the mining, custom mining thing, under harvest, you can click and drag to dig. It tells you at the top, resize horizontally with shift mouse wheel, resize vertically with alt mouse wheel, and hold control to subtract regions. So I just held alt and made it go up to 3, because I want to get this ore that's right here, and they can walk in spaces that are only 3 high, so I really don't need it to be any taller than that for the moment. This actually has, I actually have 2 reasons for this though. The first one is because I want the ore and stone, and the second one is because your hearthlings don't like to sleep outside, especially it's spring right now. If it starts raining, they're even more upset about that. And so if I dig out this ore, I get ore, but then I'll also have a place that's quote unquote inside to put their beds at for them to sleep. And I will usually move my hearth and banner in there as well, so that way if enemies attack and they have to run and hide somewhere, they run and hide in there. I think it's during spring, there can be hail with the rain, and so if you put the banner somewhere that can't be rained on, then they don't get hurt from the hail, and so I just find it best to put it in a sheltered area. You may have noticed that I'm using some mods in this video. I'll put a list of all of those mods in the description. They can be very easily searched on the Steam store. You just go to Steam and go to the workshop, and mods are listed there. The main mod that I would recommend getting for this is called Ace, and it'll be in the description. It's one that changes a lot about the game. And if you get it, you're going to probably want to start a new game before you start using it if you've already started a game. But I will list all the mods that I'm using in the description. As you tell your carpenter, or any other crafter for that matter, to make things, you have to then place them. So you'll see here that I've placed the workbenches that the carpenter uses, so that way they can make the things that they need to make. And then you'll see the beds are in the inventory still. They have to be placed as well. I want to set my farm up near the water, because some of the farms that you make, I don't know if that's the right word, some of the farms that you make need water as a resource. You can transfer water from somewhere that's not a river or a lake to your farm with building I've never done it before, but I just like to build my farms just right up next to the water, so I'm clearing out space for that here. So you might have seen a moment ago that I make a mason's tool, even though none of my starting characters are my mason. The reason why I did that is all my characters, I made them start out with animal companions, and typically I try not to start out with a fox because a fox needs meat. They eat meat only, and right now I don't have any meat. I only have fruits, vegetables, and whatever I can make from the farms, which obviously isn't going to be meat. So I went ahead, made the mason's tool. I made my artillery person a mason because I don't necessarily need an artillery person right now. I made them the mason, and I'm going to have them craft the trapper tool. So that way I can go ahead and get a trapper going, so that way I can get meat for my fox so it doesn't die. Not only do I not want him to die, but if he does die, it makes whoever his owner is gets really sad. As you can see, I ended up changing my mind on who I wanted to be the mason, and my reasoning for that is because your very first stat, the mind stat, is what helps you level up faster. If you want any details about stats, you can go back and watch my first video. We go into a lot of detail about what stats are good for what characters. But you level up faster if you have a higher mind stat, and so I decided to change the mason to someone with a higher mind stat, and I ended up changing it to the farmer because we're going to want a cook ASAP, and to be a cook, you have to be a farmer first, and so it just made sense to make the cook our farmer so that way they can level up farming first, so that way they can be a cook, and then while our farmer's waiting around on the cook to level up, they can be the mason and have a higher mind stat, so that way we can get to level 3 faster, which is what we need to make the trapper's knife. After some buildings get built, your storage may end up being a little bit more spread out, but starting out, I prefer to have my storage right next to all my like workbenches. It's pretty easy for them to turn around and get the materials that they need out of it and then put the materials in that they make. And then, as you can see, their beds and things are right here. So pretty much everything that I'm needing is right here. So the storage also isn't too far from where they're living or from the center of town. So here I'm getting some farms going. I like my farms typically to be 11 by 11, but you can see that they don't fit exactly perfectly in the space there, so I just went ahead and made one of them shorter. I make them one apart so that way if there are farms that need more water, I can dig down and have water going between each farm plot, and they can all get the amount of water that I need. When choosing what to plant, I literally just go by seasons completely. So here we have turnips or carrots. Turnips are not in, they don't grow as well in the spring season. Carrots do. Basically, they're going to be used for the same things anyway, so I just chose carrots. I also went ahead and planted a few berry bushes. Typically, I don't do that, and you really don't need berry bushes right now. But I realized in my previous game, whenever I got a brewer for the first time, which you can get using the Ace mod, I realized that I need berries for him, and I almost never really grow berries. I just think that the farm is more than worth it anyway, and the berries don't give a lot of variety. But since the brewer is going to need them, and then they can drink better drinks, I decided to go ahead and start with berries. I did find out that it's kind of worth it to make them drinks because it can give your Hearthlings stat or I don't know, different kind of boosts. I've actually never done it before, but there's like boosts that it can give you. With my storages, I will typically go in and allow everything except for food. I don't make specific boxes for like this is a wood box, this is a stone box, etc. Because I just think it's easier for them than having to move it around. Like just the closest box is fine. But the one exception I do make is the food because sometimes they'll say that they can't find food or I don't know, sometimes it's some bullshit with food. So I like to have my food laid out where I can see it and I can keep an eye on it regularly as I am in that area. And also, food goes bad. So if the food is bad in the box, I don't know of a way to delete it and destroy it from the world. The only way I know how to do it is if it's on the ground. So I put my food on the ground so that way I'm able to destroy the ruined food. Now, once I make a building where they can go and eat, I'll put the food in storage boxes in the building where they eat. But for now, this is my method. One thing that you'll notice is I constantly go through my crafting menu and I select each crafting menu for each Hearthling and see if there's anything that I can be having them build because I would hate to waste any time that I could be using to have them level up. So I just try to pay as much attention to as possible to their crafting menus and keeping them going on different items.